Yeah.
But
So yesterday the weather was so beautiful. The sun was out. It was warm. The rest of this week the temperature is going to go down. But we have, let's see, let me pin myself or spotlight. I think that makes me the main picture. Um that little bit of wind, it gave me a little anxiety.
oh
And
yeah,
so I think we're just gonna, um, suffer with a little bit of PTSD from that storm for a while. When I hear those wind chimes, it kind of makes me nervous about having the wind there. Um,
especially when you got trees around your house. I was
yeah,
so blessed not to have one to fall on my house.
oh, absolutely. And we think about too maybe the tree didn't fall on that storm, but is it weak and now it's going to fall even given a little bit of wind? That's something
Yeah.
that, you just think about. And I think we all need to probably figure out some ways to kind of process all that. And I don't know what you do. I mean, this, like you said, this is new territory for us. We haven't been through this before, and none of us want to go through it again. And but that we can't help it if that's what happens, right?
That's right.
So I don't know. It's tough. It makes you also aware of other people that have gone through this and their feelings that maybe we didn't have complete empathy for before.
Right.
Now we can, which I think is a positive. It helps us have better empathy for others. So I always try to pull out the positives however I can. And
Well, that's what we're supposed to do because there is positive things to look forward to.
yes. So, and we're so lucky to get to have Tai Chi class 2 weeks in a row. What? We're on a roll or something.
Maybe we're on a even keel now. We'll have it every week.
We are about halfway through with the class. This is technically week 8, but I said that one week that I was at my brother's house, I wasn't going to count that as class. So we'll call this class 7. So we're next week will be our official halfway point. And I think for how many times our class has been interrupted with this or that we have done really well in making progress in our movements. I mean, we have gotten through our basic 6 and we have been practicing weight transfer, especially with what I call Tai Chi walking in waving hands and clouds. And, you know, we want to learn our Tai Chi moves. I mean, that's great if we learn it. But what we really want is for our bodies to be able and strong so that we don't fall when maybe we lose our balance a little bit. So hopefully, the more you practice principle, the more you'll see and feel that your body is stronger and more able. And so we talk about our principle with posture because if we have good posture where it's like a string that pulls up and down, our shoulders are relaxed and back a little bit, even the way our feet are about shoulder width apart, so we widen our stance a little bit, and we have that soft bend in our knees, and that's just the way we hold our bodies. So that sets just our body structure sets us up to have less chance of falls. Now, let me talk about some habits that maybe increase our chance of falls. So, let's say you kind of bend over a little bit. You've seen people kind of walk like this and kind of shuffle. Well, anytime you're leaning, you're going towards falling. So that's why upright posture is such a positive thing. Also, thinking about the spacing of our feet. If our feet are right beside each other, then that's not very stable. That's just like if we took all the legs on a chair or all the legs on a table and put them all together. That table or chair is going to fall over. So what do we do on a chair and a table? We spread out those legs. That's what we do as a person. We spread our legs out a little bit, and that helps us be more stable. Another thing is that soft bend. So if your legs are locked, if your knees are locked completely straight, somebody bumps into you, you're more likely to fall. If you have that soft bend, then you can kind of go into that bend if something bumps into you. Also, what happens when you bend just a little bit, it slightly lowers your center of gravity. And that's why when you see a person who does boxing or wrestling, or even a person who does surfing, what do? They're like this. They really crouch down. Now that's not possible for everybody. We can't all just do that big squat down, but that's what they're doing. They're lowering their center of gravity and they're less likely to fall over. And what else did they do? They spread out their legs and to have a wider stance. They do that when they surf. They do that when they wrestle, or even when they box. They get in a staggered stance and bend. They're less likely to fall. So there's that staggered stance. So not just legs at hip width apart, but the staggered stance where one foot is back and the other foot is forward. That is a more stable stance. So if you ever find yourself having to stand in line, think about in church, in the Walmarts, stagger those legs, do that slight bend, good posture, you're less likely to fall. And so we learn body awareness in Tai Chi to set us up for falls prevention. That's before we ever even learn Tai Chi movements. But we practice it with our Tai Chi movements, get our bodies used to being in that stable way, and we're better for it. So let's start with that stable stance, good posture, and do our warm-up stretching beginning with our neck. So we bring our hands up, palms down, bring them towards us, push away, and follow those hands all the way down. Feel a nice stretch in the back of your neck. So yes, we're here to learn Tai Chi, but really we're here to learn body awareness and how to hold our bodies in such a way to keep us from falling and make our muscles stronger so that we're less likely to fall. So we're here for the benefits of Tai Chi, not just learning our Tai Chi. So now we're going side to side, stretching that neck. And you don't have to go as far as you can go. You just go until you feel that slight stretch. Each time you go side to side, it may get a little bit easier. Your neck becomes more mobile. You have that better range of motion. That's what we're going for. All right, now for our shoulders. We'll roll our shoulders forward. And then roll those shoulders back. Like a little massage. And back. Now big shoulder circle. Inhale up and push down. Now for our spine, let's grab our ball. One hand pushes down, the other pushes up, stretching that spine. Come back to our ball and switch. Other hand pushes up, but other hand goes down, keeping that soft bend. And back to the ball and switch. In terms of breathing, inhale at our ball and exhale as we separate. Back to the ball. Let's take it side to side, going in the direction of the hand that's on top. Short trip, stopping just above one knee and going to the other. Continuing to breathe. Thinking slow, smooth, continuous, even in our warm-up stretches. As long as we're following principle, we get benefits from Tai Chi. Think about it as meditation and movement. For our hips, shift weight to one leg, heel forward, hands back, pause, and toe back, hands forward. Take your time with the weight, with the movement of your foot as you hold the weight on that one leg. It's a challenge to hold this weight on that one foot for that long. It's a challenge for our posture too. Shift the weight to the other leg. So really practice good posture, even though you may feel a tendency to want to lean forward or back or even to the side with this weight on one leg. Continue to breathe. Let's do one more. Really challenge that leg. Now shifting weight side to side as we take our hand in the direction of the weight shift and then tap our foot out. Shift and tap. Notice I'm keeping an upright posture. Tap, shift, tap. Now for our knees, we have loose fists by our hips. We're going to shift the weight to one foot, lift the other, tap out, and punch that opposite hand. Shift, lift, tap and punch, bring it back. Shift, lift, tap and punch, shift, lift, tap and punch. Take your time with the weight shift. Challenge yourself, even if you have to hold on to a chair instead of doing that punch in the air. You see, we're punching the opposite hand of the foot that we tap out with, and that's a counterbalance, and that's good for our brain. And that's why it's challenging for our brain, but that's also why it's good for it, because it's good to challenge our brain. Now let's step out. So shift the weight, step forward. We're going to keep both feet flat on the floor as we punch and shift weight, bring it back. feet side by side. So we're shifting to the side, stepping. Now we're shifting forward and back, and then feet side by side. Really good weight transfer exercise here. Thinking about our upright posture. We got body structure lesson right here in one movement. Of course, we are always thinking slow, smooth, and continuous. Make sure you're not squeezing your hands. We're not really punching anything here. All right, back, and now for our ankles. No hand movement. We shift the weight to one leg and we go heel toe, rocking that foot. So even here we have weight on one leg. See how many times weight is just on one leg. Shift the weight and now heel toe. Always know you can hold on to a chair if this feels uncomfortable for you. But practicing that weight shift, practicing holding weight on one leg is productive for you, for muscle strength. Now let's go big toe, little toe. So we're taking our foot side to side. This is a little more awkward of a movement, but we're going for the full range of motion of the ankle joint. Bring it back, shift weight, little toe, big toe. Very good. Give yourself a good shake. And we are ready to go through our movements. Review. Commencement. Commencement is a step forward. Tips to being good at commencement is connecting arm movement to weight shift. So when our hand comes up, nothing happening with our feet. When they come down, that's when we shift to that right foot. So that down with our hands and down with that weight to our right foot. Empty step left, so no weight just yet. Bring our hands in and up. Here's another hand movement with weight shift. As I take my hands out, I shift weight to my left foot. Bring my right foot forward. Bring my hands back, and then I evened out the weight. So I have weight on both feet for open and close. So again, commencement and open and close. We come up, down, shift right. Step left, hands in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. All right, single whip and waving hands in clouds. We go to the right and then we go to the left. So from open and close, we're going to shift our weight to our left foot, step out and at an angle with our right foot. Anytime we step in Tai Chi, it's an immediate empty step, but then I adjust weight. So now I have weight on both feet. Now I move my hands out, turn my palms away, and then separate them as my head follows the left hand. So both of my hands continued to open, but my head followed my left hand. Now I am going to shift left. I'm going to bring my right foot and right hand back. And that gets me ready for waving hands and clouds. So I'm going to step out with my right foot, then switch my hands, and then turn. Shift, step, switch, turn. So those words are behind me. Shift, step, switch, turn. Shift, step, switch, turn, shift, step, switch, turn, shift, step, switch, turn. Now that was my 6th step, so now I'm coming back to center for open and close. Now our goal is to make things more slow, smooth, continuous. That's smooth and continuous by, instead of doing 4 things, instead of doing step, switch, turn, shift, our goal is to step and switch, turn, and then shift. Step and switch, turn, and then shift. Step and switch. So our goal is to work towards being more smooth and continuous. And so that just takes practice. So if you can, on your own time, practice that waving hands in clouds where you step, switch, or step and switch at the same time, turn, shift. And keep doing that movement regardless of 6 steps or any number. Just practice the rhythm of waving hands in clouds until you hit towards a wall, and then go back the other way. But practice makes this better. You learn it better. You feel it as a rhythm. When you're able to feel this movement as a rhythm, then you start really feeling that Tai Chi as meditation in motion, and it's very calming to do waving hands in clouds, just as a pull out all by itself movement. Of course, we know it's part of our series of movements where we go to the right first, and there's 6 steps, come back to center, open and close, and now we're ready to go to the left. So we shift shift right, step left, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, eyes follow our right hand that time, shift right, bring that left foot, left hand back, ready for waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn, step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn. Now come to the middle for open and close. Now last week we were going through our principles, and I said we would talk about gentle resistance later. So it's later. Let's talk about gentle resistance as one of our principles. All right, so places we can practice gentle resistance in our Tai Chi series of movements. Gentle resistance is as if we are moving against heavy air. So when we do commencement and we bring our hands up, pretend that that air is heavy and we're having to fight to get our hands up. And then we got to go back down and we got to push back through that heavy air. Oh, anytime we're moving our hands, it's like that air is heavy and we're having to push through and pull through it. And when we get to open and close, same thing. It's like pulling an accordion. Pull that accordion and push that accordion. Or if you think about a bellows, like whenever you're trying to put oxygen on a fire to get that flame to start burning. The bellows, you kind of go like this with it, right? So push and open, close that bellow, open. You know, you're pushing, pulling, pushing. That is gentle resistance. It's like a mind game. Like the air really isn't heavy. We're just pretending it is. So to move through it is like adding that little bit of resistance, even if it's pretend. Resistance, open, close. So you're probably not going to stay in full resistance mode. That would be exhausting. So maybe you pick different parts. So maybe when you come up, it's very light. There's not that heavy air. But when you go down, that's when you encounter that heavy air. So pick different parts to make the air heavy, where you give it that extra and then when you get to open and close, really that air is just hard to pull. It's like taffy, pulling it, pushing, right? So whatever visual helps you practice that gentle resistance. What's the purpose of gentle resistance? Well, it's to use muscle that you weren't necessarily using to do that movement. I mean, yes, we work against gravity, and gravity is resistance, but we're adding that little bit extra to use muscle. And that using muscle helps our muscles get stronger. So that's how we can kind of use it with our arms and our hands, with gentle resistance in our commencement move. You know, when we do our single whip, we can do that same thing. We can, on the push out, we can really do gentle resistance. Or when we separate, so maybe we push out just regular, but then when we separate, we really, give it that resistance. So it's totally up to us when we use it. And it's fine if you do Tai Chi and never use gentle resistance. But this is just an added plus for you to use muscle. You may just use gentle resistance every time we do open and close. And we do it several times just in our basic 6 movements. So you can save it for that. Where we can use it in waving hands and clouds. Now, used to, when I practiced waving hands and clouds, and this is why my poster has brackets on it. So I have a bracket around step and switch, and I have a bracket around turn and shift. So if you can't see that, I'll show you on here. See, I have a bracket around step and switch to combine those two, and turn and shift to combine those two. And this is how I used to practice waving hands and clouds until I decided to add gentle resistance to this movement. So used to, I would step and switch, and then as I turned, I would shift the weight. Then I would step and switch, and then as I turned, I would shift the weight. Step and switch, turn and shift. Step and switch, turn and shift. So you see how that falls into slow, smooth, and continuous, right? That's one way to practice waving hands and clouds. But when I really started exploring gentle resistance in this movement, I couldn't turn and shift at the same time. Why? Let me show you. So I step and switch at the same time, but when I went to turn, what I was doing for gentle resistance is tightening up these stomach muscles. And I was pretending like there was a straw that was poking out of my belly button, a long straw. And I was taking that straw and it was pointing this way, and I was pushing that straw over to the other side of the room. I was pretending that I was using my stomach muscles and I was just thinking about that straw, pushing that straw using my stomach muscles. Well, when I was focused on really tightening up my core and using those muscles to move and turn my body, I couldn't turn and shift at the same time because I needed to be grounded with both of my feet, my weight on both feet, my both feet on the floor, weight equally distributed, so that when I turned, I could come at from a very strong stance. But if I was shifting weight, I couldn't use my muscle and be that strong using my stomach muscles. So that's when I started practicing turn. And as I turned, use those muscles and then shift my weight once I had made that turn. So that gives you a choice of how to do waving hands in clouds because you don't have to add gentle resistance. It's an option. It's a way to make your movement more. And so this is just one way to make it more. So if you want to practice more of the slow, smooth, and continuous, then pair your waving hands and clouds up that way. Step and switch, turn and shift. Step and switch, turn and shift. Turn and shift. That's 100% okay. Or step and switch, turn using those muscles, then shift. Step and switch, turn using those muscles, then shift. Step and switch, turn using those muscles, step and switch. Okay? So that's why I have brackets on the two words, but it's also why whenever I talk you through it, I turn, then shift. Completely up to you how you want to do it. I just encourage you to practice it both ways and get a feel for what they both feel like. One day you can do it one way, the next day you can do it another way. It's completely up to you. So let's practice however it is you want to do it. All right, so we've done commencement, open and close. We're doing single whip. So just because we're on topic of gentle resistance, let's talk through it as if we're doing gentle resistance. So we shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push it out, and I use that word because that is a resistance word, right? Push, and turn and separate. Waving hands in clouds. Shift, bring that right hand, right foot back, waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift. Step and switch, turn, shift. So when I step right, I turn right. When I step left, I turn left. That's the rhythm. That's the pattern. Step right, turn right. Step left, turn left. So you might not like that gentle resistance. Open and close. You might just like it when we do open and close. And you might later on decide you like gentle resistance. Right now, you just may be learning the movements really well. All right, we got open and close. Now single whip. Shift right, step left, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate. Eyes follow that right hand. Waving hands in clouds. Bring that left foot, left hand back. Here we go. Step and switch, turn, shift. 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 Step and switch, turn, and back to center for open and close. So hopefully the way I said turn, that just sounds like resistance, doesn't it? It's like it's not just turn. It's turn because I'm using that muscle to turn my body in the waving hands and clouds. So however you choose to incorporate gentle resistance, that's great. Do that. If you want to wait and do it later and really focus more on slow, smooth, and continuous, learning all the movements, paying attention to your posture, making sure you're breathing. Those are the main things when you first start, and then you think about gentle resistance. I know when I first started, I was even less thinking about weight transfer after an empty step. I don't know that I was always stepping empty. But at some point, you need to think that every time you step, you don't immediately give it weight. And I think what happens in the beginning, you do immediately give it weight because you're just trying to remember what you're supposed to be doing. So you just go ahead and give it weight because you know that's what's next and you're proud you remember. So once we know it, we fine tune the movements. And we only can fine tune once we have practice. So let's just go through our movements. I'll do several facing you and I'll turn around and you can follow me from behind. And hopefully I'll transition well from that. But let's start with commencement, go all the way through. I'll talk you through it, then I'll do it without the movement explanations. And commence. Hands come up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip. Shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes follow that left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. Waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn and shift. 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 Step and switch, turn. Come back to the middle for open and close. Single whip, shift right, step left, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes follow our right hand. Shift right, bring that left foot, left hand back, waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift. 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 Step and switch, turn, shift, step and switch, turn, and come to the middle for open, close, and close it out. There's our basic 6. Now let's go through it again. I'll just call out the names of the movements. And begin. Commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close, and close it out. All right, turn around. I'll start over here this time. I'll talk you through it, and then we'll do it without the explanations. And commence. Hands come up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip. Shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes follow our left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back, waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift. 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 Step and switch, turn, and to the middle for open and close. Single whip, shift right, step left, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes follow your right hand. Shift right, bring that left foot, left hand back, waving hands in clouds. Step and switch, turn, shift. 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 Step and switch, turn, and to the middle for open and close. Close it out. All right, let's do it again. Just calling out the name this time. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Close it out. So do you have a preference of me facing you or turned around?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Facing.
Facing. All right. I'm going to face you and we're going to go through it again. We'll do it a couple times. Do you want me to talk you through it or just say the names of the moves?
Say the names.
Well, okay. It don't matter.
Okay. I'll say the names. Here we go from the top. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Close it out.
You sure have to comprehend or stay on that track with that.
Ma'am?
You have to comprehend. You have to focus.
Yeah, it takes a lot of focus, doesn't it?
A lot of focus. You slip, you're gonna miss it.
All right, so let's go through it again. We got time to do it one more time, then we'll cool down. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Close it out. So are you starting to feel it get shorter as we practice it more and more?
Yeah.
That's our goal anyway, is that it feels shorter because we know it so well. We're going to continue to practice next week as well, really thinking about our principles of movement control, where our pace is slow, smooth, and continuous. So when one movement comes to an end, the other one starts. That's that continuous movement. We're going to explore more gentle resistance. So it's like we're moving against heavy air. But every move we make, we don't want to be gentle resistance, and we'll wear ourselves out. We want to give it gentle resistance and then ease up. And in Tai Chi, we have that yin and yang, and that's what that is, that force and then the relax. So both sides, hard and soft. As we go in a couple weeks into our advanced 6, there's a lot more opportunities to practice that soft and hard with gentle resistance. The movements just lend itself to them more than the basic 6. Continue with body structure, the principle of body structure. Not just in Tai Chi, but in your real life. Practice upright posture. Practice relaxed shoulder. Practice that soft bend in your knee. Practice having your feet shoulder width or hip width apart. Or practice a staggered stance when standing. Practice that body structure that's supportive. If you can, practice Tai Chi walking and practice that weight transfer. Empty step, so not an immediate weight shift, and then give it weight. So practice that, and that will help strengthen your muscles to be able to do our Tai Chi better. So that's in our body structure. So those are some of our principles that we learn to explore. Any questions that you have for me about any of that stuff I said today?
I don't have any. I just got to get my mind and feet together.
We're going to get it, girl. You don't worry. Let's give ourselves a nice fist massage to cool down.
That's a good brain exercise, that is.
Yeah, it breaks up lactic acid. Helps relieve soreness. Doing this Tai Chi with weight transfer and especially slowing it down, we added those moments of gentle resistance today. You're probably going to be a little sore. So just be aware of that. Just because we go slow, that doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We're doing a lot. We're working our muscles a lot. All right, let's gather tension and then let it go. We don't want to walk with tension and live with tension. Sometimes we'll be holding tension and don't realize it. So recognize it and let it go. Create tension and then let it go. So it feels so much better to let tension go. Now let's do a big shoulder circle. Inhale up and push down. Inhale. Exhale. And breathing is not necessarily in our principles, but we want to keep breathing. So practice breath. Practice inhale. Practice exhale. And to finish, we have our right fist. That represents our strength. Our left fingers together represents our friendship. Our thumb in, our humility. We put those together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste. So good job. We're going places with our 2 weeks in a row. Imagine what we're going to do at 3 weeks in a row. I mean, we're going to get it.
I hope so.
As always, let me know if you have any questions. You have the YouTube at your fingertips to rewatch. But you always have access to me. So you just let me know and I can help you anyway. And then if not, I'll see you next Tuesday.
All right then.
All
All right. Y'all take care. Love you.
Love you too.
Love you.
All right. Bye-bye.